Is the PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible, ma'am.
Okay. Now, all of us know, I think the group here is from various subject backgrounds, I think. I saw some are from physical education, some are from education. So what I thought of was the new trend in teaching is, we know it is use of digital content and use of digital platforms, especially after the COVID. It was these online platforms which helped us to reach our students. So today I thought I will just discuss about this ICT enabled teaching trends, and that too in particular to India as such, and the efforts put in by the government to digitalize the content and then to digitally transmit the content to the students, okay, and then to make education more ICT enabled. So since this is an induction program, I thought it would be better if we discuss about the new trends in these ICT enabled teaching aspect. So that is how I have just selected this topic, that is ICT enabled teaching trends. The focus will be more on the efforts put in by the government to digitalize education in India, particularly. Okay, this slide, if you just see, this is what is called the paddling black swan. You just see in the picture that the swan is there. This is a metaphor which I'm thinking of, where the child sleeping on the swan is the student, and this is the process of teaching and learning. It is the swan is compared to the teacher. We know, though, on the top, if you just look at the swan paddling through water, it appears as though the swan is very comfortably just swimming without any hurdles and all that. Only when you look inside the water, you see how much efforts the swan is putting in order to paddle through. Okay? And the student, the teacher, though works hard, she can, by the use of ICT, she can take the student through the teaching learning process very comfortably and enjoyably. Okay, so that is how I always compare this ICT enabled teaching to the swan paddling through the water, putting in all the efforts and making learning enjoyable to her children or the students. So in brief, if I have to just introduce what ICT is in education, ICT, or information and communication technology usage in education, is a mode of education, first of all, where we use information and communication technology. And then why we use it? We use it in order to deliver information. We know teaching, first of all, is basically delivery of information. And then to deliver information, to support it, and then to enhance the reaching of the students, and to optimize the delivery of information, we use ICT in education. And research worldwide has shown that ICT has been leading to improvement in student learning. It is also shown that there are better teaching methods which could be followed, more student-centric methods which can be followed, and then more learning can be more enjoyable to the students. Learning can be more interactive between the teacher and the student, not only between the teacher and the student, but also discussions can be held online within the peer group. So better cooperative learning teaching methods and collaborative learning teaching methods, teaching through gamification, teaching through quiz, teaching through very healthy competitive spirit in students. And then the overall development of a child for a social living also could be possible by using ICT when we are teaching. So research has shown that all these aspects could improve if we as teachers use ICT in our teaching learning process. There is a report given by a National Institute of Multimedia Education in Japan. Multimedia education is basically, again, usage of ICT in education. This report has spoken about increase in student exposure to educational ICT through curriculum integration. It has shown that it has a very positive impact on achievement of the students in any particular subject for that matter. Okay? And this report also speaks about knowledge. It speaks about the comprehension of the subject matter of the students. It also speaks about the presentation skill and the practical skills which could be developed in students through use of multimedia education in all the subjects for that matter, even mathematics, science, and also the social sciences. So research too has a report which has been given worldwide saying that ICT enabled teaching can increase learning in students. Now, let us briefly look into the characteristics of what ICT-enabled teaching learning has. The first thing it has is it enables self-paced learning. We know there are various ICT tools available for the teacher, and then using these tools, these teaching learning process can be self-paced. Self-paced means each and every student can go at his own speed. Or one particular student doesn't understand anything, he wants to reread it, he wants to go back to a particular information again, then he can go back. Somewhere he wants to take a diagnostic testing and check how much he has learned, he can take a test wherever he wants, if it is programmed so. And then if he wants to take up remedial teaching then and there, then he can go for the, the path of learning can be chosen by the student themselves, and it can be self-paced. He can go at his own speed. But in our usual chalk and talk or lecture method, that is not possible. We follow a moderate speed. Many a times we will not be able to cater to slow learners. Maybe we will not be able to cater to other type of diverse need learners also. So this ICT-enabled teaching can make teaching learning process self-paced. That is, it will be under the control of the students. Now, ICT use can also, we can use it to create, we can use it to also manage and deliver, and also assess the learning process. So there are 4 components which we are speaking about here. One thing is creating the atmosphere or creating the platform for learning. We can also be able to manage the learning and teaching process. We will be able to deliver it in different ways, and then we will be also able to assess each and every particular student using ICT. ICT also facilitates transaction or interaction between teacher and student. Like earlier, we used to always say, like, once we go into use of technology in teaching, the main drawback was that the interaction between the two student and teacher will be less, because they used to say face-to-face interaction of the student and teacher will be lessened. But by the use of new technology, we know we have live synchronous transaction which can happen on various platforms. The one like which we are using Zoom, we have Google Meet, we have Skype. So there are so many platforms which we can use, and nowadays it is readily available to all of them because we have mobile phones. Every student has access to it. And so this interaction between teacher and student also is possible by the use of ICT. And the other characteristic is it keeps the students and the teachers as well updated. Okay? Earlier, it was not like that. Once we prepare for something, then updating that knowledge, going for sources of new knowledge was quite difficult. But now you have prepared some notes, you have prepared some PPT, whatever presentation you have, you want to update it. You can readily update it as a teacher. And the student, if they want to get updated, they can come prepared even before to the class for a discussion, if you have given them what material you will be discussing in the class before itself. So students can update themselves. Then it also enhances the capacity and the ability of the teacher. Okay. And then it, as I said, when I was speaking about interaction between teacher and the student, it also fosters a live contact between teacher and the taught. And there is interactive participation of experts and also the learners. And it also makes it reachable to the unreachable students also. There are various, further when we go, we will be just seeing what are the different initiatives taken by the government of India, where we will be able to, a student can just select the topic, he will be able to even listen to a professor of IIT speaking on that particular topic. They will be able to interact with them. All this is possible. That is why we say experts can even reach the unreachable through use of various technologies. Now, there are certain advantages of using these ICT tools. When I say ICT tools, there are different student-friendly tools or teacher-friendly tools which the teachers can use. Okay, either for the delivery of information or even to assess or the learning of the students. There are certain tools, but today I will not be touching on what these digital tools are, but there are ICT tools which we can use, and then they have certain advantages. The first thing is it will help us to improve the retentive memory of students. Many a times we have seen that during the class, the student would have understood everything, and at the end you assess the students or evaluate the students at the end of the class, the student would answer to you also, and it would appear that he has understood everything. But after a certain time, if you again try to assess the student, then many a times we see that there is a revision which will be required for the student, because the retention of whatever has been learned will not be there for after a certain time. But this use of ICT has shown that it improves the retentive memory of students. That is one very important advantage of using these ICT tools. And teachers can sometimes explain very complex instructions or complex certain this thing when we are not able to show it using a video or anything in the classroom, but many times we will be able to show it, or simulations are also possible when we are using this ICT tools, and then it can ensure complex instructions to be transacted to the students and also ensures more students comprehension also. And then teachers can make their classes more interactive, and then lessons can be made more enjoyable, as I said, because of use of the computers, because of use of live video conferencing. Learning can be made more enjoyable to the students, and it also has shown that it improves students' concentration and attendance also. There are many emerging learning technologies which can be used by the teacher for her teaching learning process, like to make her teaching more interactive, like blogging. And then we have integrated learning modules which can be used, then podcasting and various e-learning and mobile learning apps we have. Those also can be used. And then there are certain barriers to ICT in teaching. Not that once we speak about use of ICT in teaching, then it's not that everything is a smooth sail for the teacher and for the students. There are certain barriers, but these barriers could be overcome by the teacher. Let us see what are these barriers. The first thing is inadequate hardware technology availability in the classroom, especially like having a huge population and more of rural population, like a country like India. It has been seen that inadequate infrastructure, especially in rural schools. Okay, and then internet also is one aspect which we have to look into when we speak about barriers, because the low speed internet will not make us possible to use various ICT tools, like we have Kahoot, we have Socrates. Certain tools cannot be used to make it live and interactive if we have low internet. Okay, and then from the side of the teacher and the student, we have seen especially experienced teacher do not have the motivation to use ICT. So this lack of motivation to use ICT more from the side of the teachers will act as a barrier to use of ICT in teaching. And I think here it is the in-service training of the teachers which can come as a solution to it. Because most of the teachers we know, we are all teachers. We have grown up learning using different methods. Like we were taught using the chalk and talk method. We were not taught using digital technologies, but we are trying to teach what do we say, population of students who have grown up in a digital age. You will know if you have interacted with your children or with your students, they are so much digital savvy that we are not so comfortable using these digital apparatus or digital applications as our students are. So that is again one very great challenge when we are speaking about ICT in teaching. So because of this digital anxiety or the computer anxiety, or which teachers have, there is a lack of motivation in getting access to new applications and new tools of ICT also from the teacher side. So this is a major challenge, and lack of proper training skills to the teachers. So adequate training also should be given to the teachers when we speak about ICT tools. It's not just training teachers in the tools which are just available at present, because we know these tools keep changing. Okay? There are new tools which are coming in every other day. So the teacher has to be trained to learn for himself or herself, and then should be able to use new, because we nowadays the tools which are freely available are user friendly also. So that training should be given to the teachers now. Then the lack of expert technical staff when we speak about schools. Our schools do not have this maintenance staff and then technical staff to maintain all these hardwares required for ICT in teaching. And then pure administrative support also is one challenge. So especially when we are speaking about a challenge, this continuous professional development of teachers is a challenge, because once we speak about using ICT in teaching, the teacher herself should be able to use new pedagogies. Because we know we have different pedagogy of teaching, where we are using different methodologies, and then there are different models of teaching which we can use. There are certain models like which are aiming at developing certain abilities in students, because now when we are saying teaching and learning, it is not just transmission of information to the students. The teacher now does not have the role of just transmitting of knowledge, because knowledge is readily available to the student. The teacher has to adopt new pedagogies in order to develop different abilities in students, so that he will be able to develop his own balanced personality. He will be able to develop life skills in students, like he will be able to develop higher order thinking skills in students. Okay. Higher order thinking skills like decision making, problem solving ability. Because now when we are speaking about pedagogy, we are not speaking about just the usual methods of teaching. We are speaking about new theories, like constructivist theory, where the teacher acts as a facilitator and creates an atmosphere to the students. The classroom is not a usual classroom where the teacher just goes in and then just gives the knowledge to the students. Instead, the methodology or the pedagogy which the teacher adopts should develop various skills in students, like social skills, because these are the skills which the student will need when he goes into a job market later on. The World Economic Forum has done a research where it has shown that whatever we are teaching in schools now will be so obsolete by the time the student comes out of this education system. Maybe the skills or the knowledge which he has acquired will be fully obsolete for him. That is why nowadays we are seeing companies which are taking these students the job are not even looking at what is the score of the student in the school examination or the college examinations. They give their own tests. They check whether if they are able to train them in the skills which they need for their particular job, then they hire the students. They just look at giving their own training for a particular job. Okay, so our education system should adopt new pedagogies where the student will be able to learn on his own. And then learning is doesn't mean that once he learns, then that learning is permanent. Earlier we were saying once learned, learning is permanent, but now we have to teach the students to learn, and then once it is obsolete, he should be able to unlearn it, and he should be able to relearn it. That is why this challenge in developing the skills in students is to help them to learn, unlearn whatever he has learned if required, and again relearn. Okay, so these are the abilities which we have to develop in students, and that type of pedagogies have to be adopted by the teachers. That is where earlier we used to, when we speak about psychology of learning, we were only speaking about behaviorism, where we were saying that learning is nothing but a permanent change in behavior. And then teaching, we were speaking about modification in behavior in the student. That was what was the earlier theories of behaviorism were speaking about. But now we have come into new theories, adopting new theories of learning, which explain and say that the teacher's role is not just to give knowledge or information, because that is readily available to the students now. The teacher's role is to create an environment or create a situation where students will enjoy his learning, student will be motivated to learn on his own. And then what do we use a term called scaffolding when we speak about constructivism. And there, this teacher should be facilitator of for the student to create his own knowledge. Okay, and then we speak about ZPD under constructivism, where ZPD means the zone of proximal development. Means the teacher should create a situation in such a way that she should understand what the student, if she has to give an advanced learning to the student, she should be able to recognize what previous knowledge of the student is, can form a previous step to build the new knowledge. It's like a building of bricks for the wall. So we go on building upon the previous knowledge and then help the student to create his own new knowledge and then acquire new knowledge with it. So creation of knowledge comes under constructivism, and the creation of knowledge should happen from the student himself or herself. So the true teacher here is only facilitating the creation of the knowledge. Okay, so these ICT tools and new pedagogies of ICT can help the teacher in facilitating all-round development of the student. When we say all-round development, it is various abilities to be developed, like and various skills like social skills, various skills like critical thinking skills, cooperative learning skills, decision-making skills, problem-solving skills, hypothesizing skills. Okay, so such higher order thinking skills can be developed when we are using these new pedagogy. So continuously training these ourselves, especially of these new available pedagogies, is a major challenge when we are speaking about the barriers to ICT in teaching. So there are, speaking about the skills of teachers earlier, especially people who have done B.Ed know that when we say micro teaching skills, we have a certain set of skills, and then we train the teachers in those set of skills. To name a few, these skills which the teacher has to possess, earlier we used to say was skill of introducing a lesson, and then a skill of explanation, skill of using the blackboard, skill of illustrating with examples, because how numerous examples you go on giving, then you're making the concept or the process more clear to the student. So skill of giving or illustrating with examples was one particular skill which the teachers were trained. And then skill of stimulus variation means varying the stimulus for the students, okay, to motivate the students. That was one more skill the teachers were trained. Okay. no matter these skills are still necessary, but there are more skills which we call as the digital skills, which are more necessary for the 21st century teachers. So what are these digital skills? It is not just enough we are able to prepare a PPT, we are able to use a spreadsheet, we are able to use or type in a word. These are not just the digital skills. But nowadays, for the 21st century teachers, it is the digital skills mean skills of using social media for the interaction or the teaching learning process, how effectively and efficiently we can use the social media for education process is a skill of a teacher. Then web editing, image editing, and there are numerous presentation softwares available. Presentation doesn't mean just a PPT, other presentation softwares, then use of cloud storage and sharing solutions, okay, and then general use of multimedia. These are the different digital skills which the 21st century teachers have to hold, where we will be able to create our own e-content. We will be able to deliver our own content through the use of the internet. We will be able to interact with the students through the internet, and then we can also hold discussions from with our group of students. So this 21st century digital skills the teachers have to acquire. When we are speaking about use of ICT, these OERs, what we call as the open educational resources, are very helpful to the teachers. Okay, there is a vast sea of open educational resource which is available. And when we are using the open education resource, one knowledge which the teacher has to know is, many times teachers are confused whether we can just take the material, because nowadays we know plagiarism is a what do we say, worry for the teachers, because they're worried whether we can just take the material or which others have put in the internet and can we use it, okay, or is it sometimes it is punishable whether to take. Okay? So here we will just look into certain aspect, like what type of resources could we use and how do we use it. So I will just go into this concept of what we have, the Creative Commons. Briefly, we will go into this and then just move on to what are the different initiatives of the government of India to digitalize content, and then to help teachers to use this e-content. Okay, so I think these are the symbols which you might have seen when we have opened the books, or sometimes when we are taking the content from the internet. You would have seen these symbols. So what do these symbols mean? This CC means Creative Commons, or this other symbol here means that information is in public domain. If it is in public domain, the author will not have the copyright of it. We can use it. But what is this Creative Commons? So what do we mean by copywriting and Creative Commons? Okay, so this we will just briefly go into. Now this picture here tries to explain the spectrum of rights. The first one, C, is a copyright. Means somebody has written a book or put the information. If they have hold a copyright for it, then we are not able to, we should not take that material. Okay. The other end of the spectrum is the PD, which is in the public domain, which we can use the material. The in between the spectrum of this copyright and the public domain is the Creative Commons. Okay, so this Creative Commons has some rights reserved. Copyright, all rights are reserved. Public domain, no rights are reserved. We can use it without the permission. But this Creative Commons has some rights reserved. We can reuse the material with permission. There are certain specifications for it, but so what are the specifications and the Creative Commons, and what we should know when we are trying to take material from the internet, that as teachers we should know. Now, if you're going through the material on the internet, you will look into, many times you might have seen these symbols also. The first symbol is called the CC BY. Okay, later on we will just see what this symbol means. The second one here is CC BY SA. The third one is CC BY NC. The fourth, CC BY NC SA. The fifth one is CC BY ND. And the sixth, the last one is CC BY NC ND. Okay. See, from the first to last, if you're seeing, there is one more component being added into this. The first and the easiest one is the Creative Commons of licensing is CC BY. The first one, as we said, public domain where no rights are reserved, that is CCO. Then the other one is CC BY. CC BY means you can use the material, but you have to attribute it to the author. Okay, we have to give the reference. The third one is CC BY ND, which means we have to, but once it is CC, you see, everywhere attribution is required. CC BY is only by attribution, you can reuse it. Attribution, no derivative, is CC BY ND. Means you can give an attribution, we have to use it as it is, but we cannot just take a derivative out of it. And the third one is CC BY NC, which means attribution, but can be used only for non-commercial purposes. Okay. Then suppose we are taking it for our class, we can take it because it is non-commercial. Then we have CC BY SA. CC BY SA is of this type of Creative Commons licensing, speaks about attribution, but you have to share it alike. Means we cannot make any changes in the content. Whatever they have placed it, we have to just take it as it is and we can share it as it is. We cannot make changes in it. Then we have attribution, non-commercial share alike, that is CC BY NC SA. Using it for non-commercial purpose and also sharing it alike. Then we have attribution CC BY NC ND, where we have attribution for non-commercial and no derivative. Okay. So these are the types of Creative Commons license which the author or the person who would place the material on the net would have taken. So we should be having the knowledge of these types of licensing when we are trying to reuse the material which we are taking from the open educational resources. So we should know what type of licensing that material has, and then how we have to use it. Okay. So this first one, if you see CC BY SA, it also allows you to use it for commercial purpose also. Like for example, if you take Wikipedia, okay, you can use it even for commercial purpose. Okay, so that is the one. So I will not go in detail with this. I just wanted to briefly bring an awareness about these types of licensing, because when we are using ICT material and e-content, as teachers, we should look for what type of licensing that particular material has. Okay? Otherwise, many a times, if that type of licensing is not given and we use it for commercial purpose and all that, we may be in trouble also sometimes. Okay. Now, after knowing about these types of Creative Commons licensing, which is widely used on this for e-content, I will just move on to the Digital India campaign, which I was speaking about in the beginning. This Digital India campaign has been promoting use of ICT in the teaching learning process. So what is this Digital India campaign? And this national mission on education through information and communication technology. Okay, this it has been envisaged to use the potential of ICT in the teaching learning process so that it will benefit the learners, especially in higher education institutions. And then this speaks about ubiquitous learning. I told you about new pedagogy in learning. This ubiquitous learning, the word ubiquitous means anytime, anywhere, any mode of learning. Okay, means learning is possible anytime, anywhere for the student. So that is what is the mission of the aim of this national mission on education through information and communication technology. It is providing learning for the students anytime and anywhere mode. Okay. So this mission is an initiative of the Human Resource Development Government of India. The objective of this mission is to provide quality educational content. Educational content provision is the objective of this to any learner who is willing to learn or anywhere in India. Okay? This seeks to bridge the digital divide, because this digital divide is creating a huge gap in the learners of urban and rural users. Not only learners, even teachers also. So this mission objective is to empower those who still remain untouched of this digital revolution. So this wants to bring them into the mainstream of the knowledge economy. This is the objective of this mission. We know the objective of our education system, or MHRD, is to enhance the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. So this is a major intervention in enhancing the gross enrollment ratio in education. Okay. And then this technology, once it can be harnessed well, then it can also be able to expand and then reach the remote corners of India, and then also we will be able to provide quality education to even the remotest learner in the country. And then what are the focus areas of this mission? This mission is focusing on appropriate pedagogy for e-learning. Okay. Here it concentrates on electronic learning only. So the focus here is on appropriate pedagogy for e-learning. Its focus is on providing facility for performing experiments through virtual laboratories. Okay. If you know, there is one virtual laboratory called the O-Labs. As we go through, when I come to that slide, we will just look into one experiment also, which when labs are not, lab facilities, infrastructure cannot be given in a school, how these O-Labs can, in a simulated mode, help the learners to perform an experiment, make observations, and then how they allow the students to alter the experimentation in a simulation mode, and then how the skills of performing an experiment like observation, noting down, and all this can be possible even in the simulation mode when a physical laboratory cannot be given access to the student. So that way, this is providing facility to perform experiments in the virtual labs. Okay. Then online testing and certification is also one objective of this mission. Then online availability of teachers to guide learners. Teachers of IIT and then expert in a particular subject can be made available to learners through online mode. That is the objective of this mission. And this mission also is aiming at training of teachers to effectively use this new methods of teaching. Okay. And for this purpose, it is using this education satellite and direct-to-home platforms, etc. So this is the focus area of this mission. And our education policy of the country, we know, has three cardinal principles. One is access, means every child or a student should have access to education. Then the second cardinal principle is equity. Okay, equity is different from equality, as all of you know. Equal opportunities means giving equal opportunity to everybody, but equity means giving facilities which that particular student wants. That is what is equity. Okay, so equity is another cardinal principle of our education policy, and then providing quality education. So this could be possible when we are able to provide connectivity to all educational institutions, and by providing low cost and affordable devices to students and teachers, high quality e-content can be transmitted or made available to the students free of cost, okay, to all the learners in this particular mode. Okay, so this NMA ICT encompasses all these three elements of access, equity, and quality education to the remotest teacher and the student in the country. This is what is the aim of this particular mission. So this mission has three major components. The first one being content generation. I don't know how many teachers are involved here. There was even now there is opportunity, and IIT and very many universities, NCRT had called for participation of teachers in e-content generation. And then they also had called for teachers to get involved in creating content in their mother tongue or the local languages also. Okay, so there was an opportunity for this. Till now there is. So the major component of this mission is e-content generation, and especially in the local languages. And the second major component is providing connectivity to the educational institutions. And the third component is research and development using low-cost access devices. Okay, so providing connectivity to all the universities and colleges, and then another program called the Campus Connect, where Wi-Fi enabled campuses are its aim, and developing IT interventions that will have the potential to change the whole higher education scenario is this aim of this mission. Now, briefly looking at the major digital initiatives of this mission. One was the National Digital Library of India, which most of us are using it. If you just visit this digital library, which is an online library, you know how much of material is available. Everything is free of cost. Okay, and it is an open educational resource. So this is an initiative. And then we have virtual labs, as we spoke before. O labs have been developed for schools. Then we another have an initiative called the e-Pathshala. And then Swayam learning portal is another one. I don't know, most of the teachers may have even taken up courses under Swayam, and then would have completed courses which are available on Swayam. And for teachers, it is also free also. We can just enroll, take up the course, write the examination, and get a certification for that particular course. And then eBasta is one where school books are accessible in digital form. Then Sugamya Pustakalaya is one. Swayam Prabha channel. Then we have Nakshe portal of the Survey of India. One after the other, briefly, we will just see what are these national digital, what do you say, e-content material which are made available. The first one, looking into this National Digital Library, this was a mammoth task which tried to harvest the digital e-content available across the country in various educational institutions. Okay, and all of them are hosted, and then we have open access to the content here in a single window, that is this National Digital Library. This library is providing connectivity to all the higher educational institutions, so that we have the access to the potential of this ICT in providing high quality knowledge. Okay, all these e-learning content material are available in the form of modules, and then as I told you, they are personalizing learning for the students. Means the learner can learn at their own speed. They can learn at their comfort of their homes. Okay, so these modules are delivered through Sakshat. This Sakshat is again a one-stop education portal. This is expected to be the main delivery platform where the content will be integrated, and then most of the content will also be available for public scrutiny and feedback also. So e-content that is ready will be is continuously being uploaded also on this Sakshat portal also. Okay. And who are the ones involved in development task of the content on this Sakshat portal? Major ones are IGNOU, Delhi University. Then we have Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, we have Navodaya Vidyalaya Sangathan, we have the National Institute of Open Schooling, we have National Council for Educational Research and Training, that is the NCRT, where prominent academicians in the field are involved in development of this e-content material. And then there are numerous NGOs also who are providing the content free of cost on this particular portal. Okay. So this portal is expected to change the way the teaching and learning will happen further in the country. And as teachers, I think we have to first be aware of all this. We have to try to use them. And then once you go into these portals, you will know how much of what do you say, resources are available for the teacher. Okay. Then virtual class is one more portal where various online courses and spoken tutorials have been uploaded. Okay. And on this virtual class, there are 4 quadrants. That is how a virtual class or the MOOC classes have been delivered. The first quadrant is the e-content. The second quadrant is the web resources. The third quadrant is the U-tutor, and the fourth quadrant is the self-assessment. Okay, so that is how virtual class have been made available through these 4 quadrants. Then we have the virtual labs, as we spoke about. This is based on the idea that laboratory experiments can be taught or can be made available to the students for experimentation through the internet with less expense and more efficiency. Okay, so students who do not have access to the physical infrastructure of a laboratory or lab equipment can because making it available to the remotest schools will not be possible. So virtual lab is an answer for it. Okay, this will help them to compete with students who come from a better equipped school. Okay, so experiments can be accessed anytime, anywhere, and then it overcomes the constraints of time also. Then access to online lab is free upon registration. Anybody can register for these online laboratories. The school itself can register also. One such experiment in the further slides I will try to show you. So lack of resources will not be a constraint for the students to perform experiments, especially when it involves sophisticated instruments and other costly materials. Okay, and then sometimes even good teachers also a scarce resource. So these video-based courses also are available on this OLabs for students to conduct the experimentation. So here I will not go in detail with it. This OLabs content have been created following the NCRT and the CBSE textbooks and the state board syllabus in various subjects like physics, chemistry, and biology. And also laboratory mode of teaching have been used even to teach grammar in English, and then even maths lessons also for 9th and 10th and 12th classes. So it takes the features of the interactive simulation, animation, and laboratory videos, and then concepts can be clearly understood following the experimentation on the OLAB. Okay, so this ability to perform an experiment, also record it, and learn from the experiments anytime, anywhere, and individually the student can practice again and again, and that will be an added feature if he is able to perform an experiment again and again with no physical resource. Okay, so these online laboratories also are facilitating the assessment of the students, assessment of these performance on the lab experimentation, and even it will improve the skills of experimentation, like the procedural and the manipulative skills required. And then it also helps the students to clearly understand the concepts, and then other skills of experimentation like reporting skills, interpreting skills, observation skills. Okay, all this can be developed even when we are using these virtual laboratories. Now, one such this thing I will try to connect. Just tell me if that is visible. Now, this OLAB's slide is visible to you? One of you, could you just answer?
No, madam.
Not
No,
visible,
is it?
madam. Oh, no, not visible.
One slide. Now, is it visible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. This is the initiative of, if you just see, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in collaboration with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, they have developed. Now, I'm trying to take one particular experiment from biology. This is about the study of osmosis. Okay. Above, if you see here, we have the workshop, we have the training, and then we have the registration. See, we have registration for teachers, registration for students, and the registration for schools also. And then you have a log. Everything is free. Anybody can log in. Okay. And then how to contact, everything is here. And then I have just taken an example of the study of osmosis. Okay. See, the first thing here is the theory. Then they have given the procedure. For all the experiments, this is a common format which OLABS is using. And then this is the animation, because before the student tries to perform the experiment on the simulation mode, they show it on the animation mode. After looking into this animated video, then he himself can try to perform on the simulation mode. And there is a video. And then there is a viva voce, means for assessment. The student themselves can try to assess some questions which related to this experiment will be given. And then they have this important words. Means what are the important words which will come in here in this osmosis. Then other various resources, means they have provided links for other resources where if they just go through, they will have some additional material on this content. Okay, so this is the one. If you just look into, this is the top portion here, which we can select later on. But for the helping the student and the teacher, see, the first thing is they have given the plan. That is the objective. So what is the objective of giving this experiment? They say our objective is that to study osmosis using a potato osmometer. Okay, so they are trying to explain osmosis. You will just see when I go through this particular experiment, how the manipulative skills, how the observation skills, how the reporting skills of the students can be developed even using a simulated experiment here using OLABS. Okay, so the objective here is to study osmosis using a potato osmometer. So whenever we are using the laboratory, you know that we teach them the theory behind it before they start the experimentation. So they have given the theory behind it. What is the theory? The first thing is they are telling us what is osmosis before the student goes into the experimentation. See, the theory. They explain that osmosis is the process in which solvent molecules moves through a semi-permeable membrane from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, means simply put, if there is a semi-permeable membrane, here it is the potato. Okay, through that membrane, the fluid passes. See, the fluid that passes through the semi-permeable membrane is the solvent, while the dissolved substance is called the solute. So the mixture of solvent and solute becomes a solution, as we all know. This is what is the experimentation. See, a concentrated sugar solution is here. See, there are more sugar molecules. In between, there is a semi-permeable membrane. Here, there is a dilute sugar solution. This is a concentrated sugar solution, means there is so much of sugar added here. In between a permeable membrane, here it is more of dilute sugar solution, or maybe even plain water. What happens in osmosis? Water molecules will pass through the semi-permeable membrane. You're seeing here. Here, there are more water molecules here, and the solute is very less, sugar is very less. But once you keep a semi-permeable membrane, what is happening? Water molecules have passed on through the semi-permeable membrane and into the concentrated sugar solution. This is what is osmosis. They have explained before the experimentation starts. Now, the reason for why osmosis occurs, that theory also has been explained here. What is the cause for osmosis? Okay, I will not go into here because my aim is not explaining osmosis. And what is the importance of osmosis? That also has been explained here. And they have tried to give types of solutions like hypotonic solution, hypertonic solution, isotonic solution. That also they have tried to explain. See here. What is hypertonic, isotonic, hypotonic solution? That they have explained. And about all this, at the end, they have helped out the student and also the teacher, if they are planning, to tell what will be the learning outcome. So after the completion of the experiment here, the student will understand thing. Then student will understand the cause for osmosis. That is the second learning outcome. And they say the third outcome is they will understand the importance of osmosis process in plant and animal cells. And the last objective here, if you see, the student will be able to do the experiment more accurately in the real lab once they understand the steps through the animation and simulation. That is what they say. This is the learning outcome. So we will just look into next. This is the theory part which we have gone through. Next comes animation and simulation. So we will just go into the next part, the procedure. See, they have explained the procedure for the experiment. First, as soon as we go into the lab before experimentation, we will first look into what are the materials required to take up the experiment. So the material required here is, you need a semi-permeable membrane. Here it is the potato which they have taken without a peel. You require a petri dish. You require a tile. Then they have taken 20% sugar solution. 2 pins are taken. A knife is required. Distilled water is required. This is the material required which they have given and the procedure here. Then they have explained the real lab procedure. What is the real lab procedure? They say place the peeled potato on the tile. Using the knife, cut both the ends of the potato to make it flat so that you will be able to place it firmly. So cut it flat. Then make a cavity at the center of the potato. Make it hollow so that from one of the flat side almost up to the bottom. Then pour distilled water into the petri dish until it is half full. That is the next procedure. Then place the potato in the Petri dish, that is into the distilled water. Then there is a cavity within the potato. Fill that cavity in the potato with 20% sugar solution. Take the pin and then mark the level of sugar solution in the cavity of the potato. Now they say the potato is functioning as an osmometer. So leave the osmometer for 2 hours. Don't disturb it. After placing it in a Petri dish with plain water or distilled water, and then putting the sugar solution within the cavity of the potato, place it in the Petri dish and leave it. Okay. Then the last thing is to mark the rise in the level of the sugar solution in the cavity using another pin. This is what is the real procedure. Now, the simulator procedure is given here. This is as performed through the online lab. This explanation I will not go into. Then what you have to observe, this is being told to the student already. They say, observe the level of sugar solution in the potato cavity. It rises from some time due to the entry of water into the sugar solution through selective permeable membrane, that is the cells of the potato. And what is the conclusion from this experimentation? The conclusion is the movement of water from the Petri dish to the potato cavity occurs because there is difference in the concentration of solvent molecules in the two regions. Okay. So what precaution should be taken while experimenting? That also they have given. They have said the cavity should be deep enough when you are taking the cavity in the potato to keep only a thin layer of tissue at the base of the potato. That precaution should be taken. And the sugar solution, they say, should be sufficiently of high osmotic concentration so that that is why they have told you initially that you require 20% sugar solution. Okay. So the next aspect here is animation. If you go to this animation, there is a video which explains about this. I think the video is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
It is visible.
It's visible.
The experiment will require a large potato without peel, tile, knife, tools, Petri dish, distilled water, 20% sugar solution. Procedure. Take a potato from the watch glass and place it on the tile. Take the knife and cut both ends of the potato to make it flat. Using the knife, make the cavity in the center of the potato from the flat side almost up to the bottom. Take the beaker containing distilled water and pour it into a Petri dish until it's half full. Now, place the potato in the Petri dish that is half full of water. Take the beaker containing the sugar solution and fill half of the cavity of the potato with 20% sugar solution. Make a pin and mark the level of sugar solution in the cavity. The potato now functions as an osmometer. Leave the osmometer undisturbed for about 2 hours. Mark the rise in the level of sugar solution in the cavity with another pin. Observation. The level of sugar solution in the potato cavity rises after some time due to the entry of water into the sugar solution through selectively permeable membrane of the cells of the potato. Conclusion. The movement of water from the Petri dish to the potato cavity occurs because of the
this is the conclusion we reached.
two regions, liquid and pure water.
This is the animated video which it will be shown before it starts. This is the simulator where the student will be able to perform the experiment. See, in the Petri dish, they will be able to select the sugar concentration. Let us say 20%, that they will note down. Then in the potato, maybe 10%. Okay. And then see, they will be able to take the pin and also mark. Okay. If they want to see the cross-sectional view, they can take the cross-sectional view also. Okay. Now the pin is taken. This is marked. Now we start the experiment. So they say for 2 hours you have to leave the experiment. So the clock is moving for 2 hours. You're seeing the level of the concentrated sugar solution has gone down. Water has gone down. Now we will take this pin and then mark the level of water in the potato now. Okay. You're seeing how the student, though does not physically have the Petri dish with him, he doesn't physically have the sugar solution, he can just do it in a simulated mode. This is just an example of one particular experiment, but many experiments with costly chemicals and all that can be done. Okay. See, this is the video of how the experiment has to be done. The whole content is being explained here, showing that this is a semi-permeable membrane, and then how the concentration of how osmosis occurs. See, what are the materials required? Everything is shown on the video. And the video explains of how the experiment is done. The same thing what was explained in an animated mode has been explained through this video also.
Now, place the potato on the Petri dish that is half full of water. Says an osmometer.
So that's what, see,
The osmometer.
the osmometer, how the level of the sugar solution or the water
Rise
has
the level of
increased.
sugar solution in the cavity with another pin. The level of sugar solution in the potato cavity rises after some time due to the entry of water into the sugar solution. We select solvent molecules in the two regions. Sugar solution in the potato cavity. The sugar solution should be sufficiently high or small concentration.
Coming to see, for the self-assessment of the student, there are multiple choice questions being given here. The first question here says the tendency for the solvent molecules to move from region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane is called what? See, they have given dialysis, osmosis, diffusion, Brownian movement. The student has to select which is the correct answer. And then what is hypertonic, hypotonic, that they had explained before. So here the student will go on answering, and at the end, the proper answers will be, they have given to submit. Once they are submitted, see, this is giving the answer. I had ticked for osmosis, then it has shown that the correct answer is osmosis. Okay. So this is how evaluation, self-evaluation can be done immediately and at the pace of the student. And wherever he wants, he can sit and do this experiment anytime he wants. And then this part shows about the important vocabulary words we have to know when this experiment has to be done. Like what do we mean by flaccid, what is hypertonic, what is hypotonic, all these. And then the last aspect here is about the resources. The first resource they have taken is the book. That is a laboratory manual of biology of class 9, which has been published by NCERT. And then different various other resources, that is the websites, where if you just go and click here, it will go to that particular website. The first website here is of Wikipedia, which explains about osmosis. Then we have this hyperphysics. See, there are one is this McGraw-Hill publication. Okay, this is a video of how osmosis will work. Okay, so all these are the additional resources which the student can look into when he is learning this content. Okay. So this is what is about the e-labs. Okay. Now, I will not again, it was just, I just wanted to introduce you to this. I will not go into how to start learning using OLabs and all that, because the same thing was demonstrated before. See, schools or institutions can access this OLabs. And there are certain interactive websites which are available. One is this National Repository of Open Educational Resources. Okay. And then this science book, science experiment, toys, and science films. If we just go and click here, we will be able to visit those websites.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, 1 o'clock, ma'am. 1:10.
Okay. 1 o'clock I have to end, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think these are the various this thing which I mentioned. There's a vast